All right, so it was a short verse. Here's a quiz. What was the first word? Remember. Remember. It's the only commandment that starts with the word remember. And it starts with the word remember because we are likely to forget. We forget pretty often. We forget pretty easily this commandment to remember the Sabbath and to keep it holy. Let me get you caught up a little bit on where we have come from and where we're going. We spent time in January talking about the need for the church to make a pivot from being a church that expects people to show up to being a church that shows up for people. We talked about, we rededicated ourselves to Christ in this mission. And then we talked about what needs there are within our community so that we can start meeting those needs, because the community has changed very much since the time the church was originally founded. And this month, we're taking time to focus on some values of Christianity that we need to more fully fold into our church life and into our family culture. And the very first thing that comes to mind when we think about this is the need to remember the Sabbath and to keep it holy. Everything rests. Everything. Your heart beats about 115,000 times a day, or 42 million times a year. And even your heart, in between each lub-dub cycle, takes a break because it needs one. It can't just keep going like that without some kind of a break. I mean, you know how the lub-dub cycle goes, right? Is it lub-dub, 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 lub-dub? Is that it? No? Cynthia, how's it go? Well, you were shaking your head. Lub-dub, 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 like that, right? There's a little bit of a break between the beats. And that is your heart taking a break. And there are some physicists that posit that even the entire universe rests. You know, that's timed on a cosmic scale, this idea that the universe is both expanding and then contracting as if the universe itself is breathing. Everything rests. Everything except machines and software. You know, machines, we just work on them and work them and work them and work them until they break down or wear out, and then we replace it or we fix it. And software can't ever take a break. If you are into coding at all, you know that if you put a blank space in something, the whole thing just stops. Where's Mr. Binkley? Where's Magi Binkley? Because I need him to fact check me on that. I think what they usually do, instead of putting a space in there, is they put an underscore so that it's not blank, because if it's blank, it crashes. But it can't handle pauses. Yet even computers need to be power cycled now and then to keep them from getting too buggy from all the cookies and artifacts that they pick up in normal operation. How many of you regularly turn off your phones, not just silence them? All right, our engineer raised his hand, and and how many of you turn off your computers and turn them back on again when they get, because they get buggy, they start picking up stuff? Why do people believe that they're capable of running 18 hours a day, 7 days a week without rest? Even pastors will fall for it. There's a pastor of a prominent church in the Midwest which had thousands of members. And one Sunday, he surprised everybody when he stood up in the pulpit and announced that he was leaving. It wasn't that he was going on vacation or claiming a sabbatical. He was just leaving. And he explained to his people it wasn't because of a lack of faith or a lack of love for the church or lack of love for the Lord. He was just so tired. He hadn't taken a single day completely off since the day he was ordained. There was always some phone call or an email or a meeting, and he was simply worn out. And he told himself all the things that pastors tell themselves, that they could rise up on eagle's wings, that his strength would be renewed, that the mercies of the Lord would be poured on him every morning. But he forgot to to remember the Sabbath and what it's for. And he just had no oomph left. And so he left. And he, like so many who find themselves burning out in whatever it is they're doing, don't burn out for lack of passion. They burn out for lack of rest. This pastor had fallen to the same trap so many others do, thinking you can always be on, always enroll, and perform that role reliably, consistently, and efficiently. But that's not what it means to be made in the image of God, is it? To be reliable, consistent, and efficient? That sounds more like descriptors for a machine than a person. When I talk with people, I'm usually counseling them to take it easy. Give themselves a break. Don't worry so much. Find time for yourself because people are just so darn busy. God didn't make us to be like the machines we use, but we push ourselves in that direction. We expect ourselves to be reliable and consistent and efficient because those are the metrics by which we are rewarded. If we are reliable, consistent, and efficient and become more reliable, more consistent, and more efficient, people take notice and they congratulate us for us, and we're more likely to get a raise, we're more likely to get a promotion. Those are the metrics that matter. I cannot at this moment think of a single career that values the employee who doesn't answer email after hours or on the weekends, who says no to working weekends without compensation, or who takes all the time off allotted to them for vacation. Can you think of a single career that rewards people for respecting those boundaries on their life? And says, good job. I can't either. Now, it's true that HR does push these things for employees, don't they? Take your vacation. Take your time off. You've got time coming to you. Better use it before you lose it, right? And they do that because they're hoping that they'll have more productive, creative employees when they return. But how off is a person really if the purpose of being off is to be better when they get back? Doesn't that take the whole vacation break thing and just angle it again toward work? Isn't it more like they're trying to power cycle their employee to clear them out of all the bugginess and artifacts they pick up from long cycles of being on? See, God tells us, take a break. Build into our lives this regular, rhythmic, restorative cycle called Sabbath. Just as vacations are really not supposed to be in service of the employer, but for us, so also Jesus says the Sabbath is made for us, for family, for community, for worship, for fun. If you look around this community, the one thing that everyone seems to be equally bad at is taking a break. If there's a break from work, then it's instantly filled with errands and to-do lists. Who's guilty of that? If there's exercise to do, like running or cycling or yoga or spending time at the gym, it's measured against past performance to mark improvement. How many people do that? How many people have a watch that helps them do that? Or an app on their phone that helps them do that? Trying to make things all measurable, as if you have to have some kind of a demonstrable work product for your rest, for your fun. Tony, when was the last time you shot around to golf without keeping score? And it wouldn't be golf. Chris, have you taken a bike out without turning the computer on? Nope. That's just what we're taught we need to do. We always have to be productive. We turn our recreation into work. Sabbath itself is just supposed to be this regular, rhythmic, restorative time away from metrics and errands and to-do lists. Maybe it's just going to be for you a few hours here or a few hours there. Maybe you'll be able to find a whole day to play and pray. The point of it is to just do it. And in doing it, remember in whose image you are made and into whose image you are becoming. Without Sabbath, we lose sight of the author and giver of life. We start to angle our whole selves toward the boss from whom all paychecks flow. Is that what we sing in our doxology? Praise boss from whom all paychecks flow. Praise work from whom all health care comes. Sabbath keeping is just one of the values that we need to do better with, that we need to fold into our lives, make part of our family and church culture. This overworked, overscheduled, overburdened community needs to see somebody doing this and still making it and still surviving. They need to see that not only is it necessary, but it's beautiful and it's fun and it's a good thing to do. Wasn't it Deepak Chopra who said that we are human beings, not human doings? So some time for us to just be is important. So I'm asking you, please figure it out. For your own well-being, take your foot off the gas and pull over. What would Sabbath look like for you, for your family? How could you work this out? Maybe it'd be a half day for mom to just go and do whatever mom needs. A half day for dad to go do whatever dad needs to do. Or maybe they send the kids out of the house to somebody else's house and it gets quiet at home. Oh, wouldn't that be great? Maybe it's just a half day for you to do something together with your family. Turn everything off. How big of a rebellion would there be if you said, today we are turning everything off? I think it'd be awesome. Unplug. Maybe it'd be time spent when the weather gets better, gardening, crafting, making music, fishing. Maybe it's in different shifts for different people. We have to recognize that today is a whole lot different. And not everybody gets to take the same day off every week. Not everybody does. But everybody should be able to take that time and just rest. And if you do so, you just might see more evidence of grace around you. You may find more patience for yourself or for others. You may learn to love yourself better. You just might find a way to do all things in Christ's name, to be thankful, to be more forbearing and more forgiving of others. You might even stave off stress-related diseases and chronic illness if you learn the regular, rhythmic, restorative pattern of keeping Sabbath. And you may find that the value of life is not in its busyness, but in its living. There are so many things that Sabbath can do for us. It is a gift that God gives. So however it works, however you can work it out with whatever schedules that you have, remember the Sabbath and keep it holy. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.